Hi, everybody. This is SAAD. Some of you who've been following me for a while know that prior to the 2015 election, which eventually led to Justin Trudeau becoming Prime Minister, I had repeatedly and urgently warned people to not vote for him, that he was a danger. He was a danger because he actually represents almost every single one of the idea pathogens that I discuss in my forthcoming book. And now, in light of his latest multiple blackface gaffes, it looks like I'll have to be adding that to the book. Postmodernism, that's precisely how he thinks. Diversity, inclusion, and equity, the die religion, drives his whole raison d'etre. Cultural relativism, the notion, who are we to judge other cultures, is exactly who he is, right? Remember when he was a member of parliament, he wasn't upset that honor killings and child brides and female genital mutilations were barbaric realities. Rather, he was upset that the Harper government would refer to them as barbaric. And so where does that come from? It comes from the fact that he is a cultural relativist. Don't be a racist. Don't judge the cutting off of women's clitorises. Don't be a bigot. He is very, very attracted to a religion that regrettably is laden with Jew hatred, homophobia, hatred towards the LGBTQ community, hatred towards women. He is for open borders. More mass immigration is a great idea. He says that we don't have a national identity, right? We're a post-Canadian identity, right? He's a globalist. He doesn't look like all the rest of us peasants as Canada being a country that has a shared value, a shared history. Every single one of the idea pathogens that I argue parasitize otherwise healthy minds and turns them into mush is exemplified in this utter imbecile. I warned you about this. This is what I said about him on a show several years ago. This was the Gareth Cliff show. He's a South African personality. So let me read my quote. Justin Trudeau is an utter disaster on many, many fronts. And I say this not to be disrespectful, not to be bombastic in any way, but I genuinely mean it when I say the following. If I were to take in my 23-year professorial career the absolute dumbest undergraduate student that I've ever had, that student would be approximately 100 times smarter than Justin Trudeau. This is a guy who, until he was 40-something, his biggest claim to fame was that he was a snowboarder and a substitute drama teacher. Oh, side note, I should also add that he was a professional blackfacer. And now he is the leader of one of the most important Western countries in the world. He's never uttered a syllable, not one syllable, that wasn't a grotesque platitude of stupidity. This was me several years ago. I also appeared on Joe Rogan's podcast a few years ago after he had been elected, after Trudeau had been elected. And at the time, the first response of Joe was, "Oh, I like this guy," and I tried to set him straight. I'll try to post that clip as a separate clip at some point soon, my interaction with Joe. So it's not as though this comes as a surprise to me. Justin Trudeau is a rudderless human being. He is void of first principles. He is someone who has been parasitized by every single bad idea that has come out of the academic hallways, and he exemplifies them. He lives them, right? He is a child of astonishing privilege. He grew up the son of a prime minister. He grew up going to the most privileged schools in Montreal. I am from Montreal. I know exactly the environment that he grew up in. He was a rich boy, a rich, lazy, spoiled boy, entitled, and dare I say, racist. Not racist so much because of one indiscretion when, he was a child of 25, 29 and a teacher. By the way, I finished my PhD when I was 29, and was appointed to a professorship when I was 29. So apparently I can be Dr. SAAD and Professor SAAD at 29, but at 29 years old, he didn't know whether, wearing darkening makeup would be a bad idea. Now, again, by the way, this is not to imply that I think that blackface is the issue here, but rather it's the extraordinary hypocrisy. This is a guy who's been wielding the sword of wokeness on the rest of us. Professors have to fill out now DIE statements, diversity, inclusion, and equity statements, every time they open their mouths. You apply for a grant, where's your DIE, boy? You do a research thing, how did you try to be more inclusive, more diverse? Chaired professorships are granted based on DIE principles. Everything is about equality of outcomes. This is exactly what he did when he tried to create, gender equity in his cabinet and so on. So there literally isn't any bad idea that he has not internalized. This is why I despise this guy, right? It's nothing personal. Some idiots write, oh, it's because you're jealous of his female attention. Yes. It's been a ruse all these years that I've been criticizing his horrifying mind parasites. Rather, it's because I'm jealous that he's taller than me with prettier hair, and I dare say I would contest the idea that he's got better hair than me. And my selfie game, by the way, is superior to his. Justin Trudeau is the classic poster child of Freudian projection. Let me read for you what I wrote yesterday on my social media. Male feminist Justin Trudeau is the poster child of Freudian projection. He accuses everyone else of what he is. He is a male feminist, ergo he gropes women. Maybe some of you don't remember the accusations of him groping women. Even one of his blackface pictures, his hands seem to be quite friendly. He is a progressive diversity champion, ergo he spends half his life in blackface. He is all about cultural relativism, ergo he grew up in the most privileged enclaves of elitist white snobbery. He is a grotesque cesspool of hypocrisy, and this is why now I refer to him as Herr Himmler of hypocrisy. So this is a guy who doesn't have the capacity to have original thoughts, the capacity to enunciate thoughts. He simply apes and emotes cues that suggest that he is so feeling, he is so progressive, he is so woke. This is not someone that should be leading a nation. As it turns out now, it comes out that he spent 99% of his life in blackface. The fact that you should despise him for doing so is not so much because of the blackface, because that we can discuss whether it's such a transgression or not. By the way, Megyn Kelly was going to receive the electric chair because she precisely said, well, was it so racist when it happened that it wasn't her who was in a blackface. She was simply arguing whether it was such a racist thing that someone else did it. And Don Lemon from CNN argued that she should be tarred and feathered, and she should be sent to Gulag 13. But when a prime minister spends 99% of his life in blackface, hey, it was just a youthful indiscretion. This is the problem. It's the blind moral hypocrisy. I tell you how you should be or else, and if you catch me in those transgressions, then you forgive me. Got it? That's the problem. Now, some soft and gentle colleagues of mine have said, but Gad, we shouldn't be playing their game. We shouldn't be using their tactics of cancel culture to get rid of him. Well, I'm sorry to say you're imbeciles. I may be a pacifist, but if you attack me in an alley and try to hurt me and my children, I'll pummel you. That's not because I'm inconsistent. It's because situational realities demand that I adjust my positions. So in this case, yes, of course, I'm at the front lines of arguing against the cancel culture. It is grotesque and disgusting. But when the queen of the cancel culture, Justin Trudeau, is caught using his own, quote, moral compass, his own rules, then only a fool would argue, let's take the highfalutin high road and not tar and feather him using his game. Then you're a moron, you're an imbecile. You don't have the survival instinct to actually win a battle for the soul of our institutions, for our universities. I'm at the front line. Just today, if I showed you the number of emails I've received from students who are desperate, who just can't make sense anymore of what they are seeing in their universities, of the things that they have to be taught, that they have to regurgitate, the mandatory training that they have to go to, the die statements that they have to abide by. Well, Justin Trudeau exemplifies that. So now that he has been shown to be the greatest of hypocrites and using his own moral compass, the greatest of racists, no, you don't go soft on him. You call him out for the gargantuan fool that he is. To my fellow Canadians who are going to the ballot box, I usually don't try to offer positions based on activism. In other words, I fight in the battle of ideas. In this case, there are real consequences to your actions. If you decide on October 21st to say, forget about his SNC-Lavalin unbelievable ethical, if not legal, breaches. If those of you who don't know about this, please look it up. He personally interfered to make sure that the Justice Minister of Canada would not pursue a corruption case against a major company because it would be politically expedient for him to make sure that she does not follow the law. He gropes women. He takes wrong moral positions. He's got no sense when it comes to immigration. He doesn't believe that Canada has, a set of shared values. He's grotesque in every possible way, an imbecile of the highest order. And I'm only saying nice things about him right now. So think very, very hard before you go to the ballot box on October 21st. I'm not suggesting who you should vote for, but at this point, anybody would be better than this clown. Have a good weekend, everybody.